Hello there everyone, my name is Crix, and this is going to be a full game speedrun guide for The Hobbit, the category All Quests. Basically, I'm going to be going through the game level by level and just explaining the most basic All Quest routes. This isn't going to cover the absolute fastest routes, this is going to be treated as more of a beginner guide. If you want to catch the absolute fastest routes, I would recommend just keeping up with my channel, keeping up with world records and seeing those, because most of the smaller optimizations that I don't go over are just going to be things like smaller things that you might just only have to notice in a world record run. Stuff like that. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and get started. So, timing starts when you select a new game, so I like to just kind of spam start right here. So, 3, 2, 1, go. Generally, I just spam start right there because there's a cutscene immediately after you select a new game as well. I'm going to go ahead and explain exactly what the category All Quests, what that means, what our goal is in that category, how we define it, basically. At any point in the game, if you go into this menu just by pressing start, you can see the first thing you're presented with is this quest log, which shows certain quests that you have in the level. It doesn't usually show all of the quests in the level. It shows all of the quests that you have unlocked currently. If you go 2 pages to the right or 2 pages to the left, either way that you want to do it, you can see at the very bottom of the pause summary there's a category called quests. In this level, for example, there are 4 total quests. Basically, the goal is in each level to complete all of the quests that are provided to you. So that's going to be our goal in each level. There are 12 levels, including Dreamworld, and each level has its own different quests that you have to do. Now, before I get started on actually completing the quests and how to route anything, I'm going to go ahead and just explain basic movement. There are 3 general types of movement that you're going to want to know about. One of them is just like running around. You can basically just push the joystick for that. You don't have to do anything else for that. You can add jumps to it, whatever. The other type of movement, when you're going downhill, you're going to want to be using the long jump. It's the built-in long jump to the game. Nothing really spectacular, nothing special to explain about that. However, you only want to use that when you're moving downhill, because if you do it when you're going uphill or on flat ground, as you can see, you get this nice little slide that slows you down quite a bit. So when you're going on flat ground or uphill, you want to use this movement called slash jump, which is basically pressing B to attack and then canceling out your attack with a jump a couple frames in. I believe optimally it's like 3 frames or something. Anyway, those are the only 3 movement elements you really have to know about going into the run. There's also sneaking, which we won't use really that often at all. But, good to know. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and I'm not going to restart the level because there's really no reason to do that. But, as you can already see, there are 4 quests in this level. 2 of them are completed upon just finishing the level. The other 2 we have to complete. One of them we complete by going into here and triggering that cutscene, and the other one we complete by fighting the goblins. The easiest way I've found to fight the goblins is to just kind of come over to them and jump attack right here, and then just kind of use your jump attack sparingly. It's best to try to use the stick on this fight because the stick has long-range jump attacks, which comes in handy when you're fighting large groups of enemies that are kind of spread out like this. Like, for example, with that goblin, I didn't even have to be right next to him. But yeah, the last 2 quests are just completed by going up the ladder and into the cutscene trigger. The other 2 we already finished. Obviously, Fight the Goblins was completed by fighting the goblins, and Look for an Exit was completed by entering the trigger. I'm not going to be showing off the quest log and how you complete each quest in every single level because I feel that I don't need to. Just the explanations alone should be enough. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and finish off this level. There are 3 cutscenes there that you can skip, and then there's another cutscene right here, and that kind of signals the end of Dreamworld. Now we're going to go on to Unexpected Party. In this level, we're going to be using a trick called clip warping. It's going to be a while in, so I'm not going to explain about it too much. I will explain about it just a little bit when we get to it. The first thing we're going to do in this level is we're going to run to the back of Bilbo's house to grab his walking stick from his chest. I missed the chest. There we go. You're going to want to equip the walking stick because obviously you can long jump and slash jump with the walking stick, so it makes your movement much faster throughout the level. We're just going to head down the hill. We're not going to talk to any of these kids. Or we're not going to talk to any of those people. However, we are going to be going kind of out of our way here to trigger these kids' text.
Hey, Bill.
You do have to trigger that cutscene, and once you've triggered the cutscene, you're just going to want to kind of head up this hill to the left and get onto this roof. Once you're on the roof, we're going to head into this little window and talk to our first hide-and-seek child. There are 4 of them that we're going to need to find. Now, you'll probably notice at the bottom right of the screen, there's a coin counter that shows how many coins I have total in the game. You can see that it's at 2 right now. I collected 2 while I was up there with the kid, just because of the path I took. We are going to be focusing on the number of coins we're collecting, so by the time I get back down from the Hammer Kid, I should have 5 coins, because I collected 2 on my way up, and I'm going to collect 1 more on my way down. You're going to want to pay attention to the coin routing. I will explain when I'm actually collecting coins. For now, we're just going to go up, and we're going to talk to the not the hide-and-seek kid, the Hammer Kid. We're going to head back down, and of course, we're going to jump over here to grab this 1 coin. And now we're going to head back to the mill. We're going to go into the lower area in the mill this time, and we're going to hop over here and break all 3 of these jars to get these nails. And once we've got the nails, we can just go outside and talk to Sandyman, and he'll fix the bridge for us. Now right here comes a little bit of a skip. It's going to be more of a time save later than it is right now, but we can avoid Bomber's cutscene by just long jumping up against the gate to the left like this. We want to do that because, well, you'll see later. But anyway, we skip that. We go over to these chests. Chests are kind of annoying because they're RNG based. And that's actually the reason that we're going to want to be picking up a bunch of coins, is because of chests. We have to open several more of them in the run. And instead of solving the puzzles for them, we can actually buy keys, which are 80 coins apiece, to open them a bit faster without having to deal with the RNG. Anyway, the next thing we're going to do, I like to grab those coins right behind that house as I head to the berry patch. We're just going to grab all the berries from the berry patch. The easiest way I've found to do that is grab the berries in front first, and then just kind of grab the other ones as you come across them. Once the berry patch guy gets past this little corner over here, you can actually just run out right behind him. And then we're going to scare away the crows that are on these scarecrows. And then we're going to talk to the guy who wanted us to do that, but we're actually going to jump behind this haystack first to grab a needle. We're going to need that needle later. And then we're going to talk to the guy who gives us the wheat, obviously. Now what we're going to do is we're going to be entering the chicken coop, and we're going to be grabbing those eggs. The easiest way I've found to get into the chicken coop without dying is this first set of boards, just jump over that, then jump over the next set of boards kind of into the right corner back here. If you jump straight for the eggs, and you accidentally jump a little too far, then you'll run into the chicken and die. But if you jump onto here, you won't die, and you'll be fine. Now, the next thing I've found to do, you just want to grab the eggs, obviously like that, and then jump back out kind of the same way you came in. And now is where I'm going to be explaining the trick that I wanted to talk about earlier. I'm going to be explaining a trick that we call clip warping. We will be using it a few other times in the run, but basically clip warping is whenever you're on the ground for more than a second, the game sets your current position as a safe position, so that if something is to happen to you, like say if you're to get stuck somewhere, the game knows that you were safe at a certain position and knows that it can put you back to that position. We can abuse that by intentionally staying on the ground somewhere for more than a second, and then just making sure we're not on the ground for a full second again, getting stuck somewhere, and getting warped back to the position that we were last considered safe. So obviously we can abuse this feature, like I said. One thing about it is, if you reload a save by some way, like if you die and your save gets reloaded, or if you just regularly reload a save, your clip warp position will automatically be set to the beginning of the level. So we can abuse that here by running into the chicken coop, dying, and then as soon as we skip the cutscene, just mashing A to make sure that we don't set a new warp position. Now what we're going to do is we're going to talk to this kid back here, and once we've talked to him, we can kind of just get stuck in these haystacks over here. I have no idea what this kid is doing, by the way. I've never seen him do that animation. But, yeah, you can see that warps you back to the house. Now we're just going to leave the house. We're going to head downhill. We're going to talk to Gammer. And we're going to collect those coins as we head downhill. Now what we're going to do is we're going to bring this lady her butter churn. We're just going to grab it from the shed. And again, I grabbed the 5 courage points that are in the shed behind the butter churn. So I should be at 22 coins now, which I am. We're going to bring the butter churn to her. One thing that I want to note just right now while I've noticed it is that little book that appears in the right side of the screen. You can use that to figure out whether you've done a quest properly or not. Like for the butter churn, for example, you don't want to set it down until that book appears, because otherwise you probably haven't carried it far enough. But then you can just talk to the lady. She'll give you a bunch of stuff, and then we're going to head into this fenced-off area to find our third hide-and-seek child. And now that we've found him, we're just going to head back out of the area. Just like this. And we're going to head down to the apple orchard. But before we actually enter the apple orchard to get the apples, we're going to go get our fourth hide-and-seek child, who is right here waiting on the dock for us. So we're just going to talk to her, and now we're going to head into the apple orchard to grab the apples. The easiest way I've found to knock down the apples is to stand in the middle like this and face to the left, where you can see these two apples. You're going to knock down the right one first, and then the left one. Now what I usually do is I exit my first person, take a few steps to the right, turn around, face the other way, and then just throw a rock at the apple. And then you can just grab all of the apples by running through them, just like I do.
I've got all the fruit Bomba could possibly want.
Real easy.
At least for the afternoon.
Now, if you're not sure whether you've actually gotten all the hide-and-seek kids, one really easy way to tell is you can look over at that well while you're running away. And normally there's a guy standing in front of this well, but if you find all the hide-and-seek kids, the guy goes away, so he's not there, which means I found all the hide-and-seek kids. And I also got the dialogue saying that I've got all the food Bomber could possibly want, so I know that I've gotten all of the food as well. So all we have to do now is give the food to Bomber. Now, conveniently for us, we can actually get warped right to Bomber now, because there's a cutscene that we were supposed to have hit earlier that warps us straight to Bomber, but since we didn't hit it earlier, we can hit it now and get warped right to him, and then just talk to him again to give him all the food. Now, as you can see, I've completed 22 out of the 23 quests. The last one in the level is just completed by entering the Green Dragon Inn. And we're not going to be buying anything from the vendor, but you should have 25 coins going out of Unexpected Party. If you have a few extra, that's okay. And if you have one or two less, that's also alright, because we pick up a few extra coins in Flies and Spiders, I believe. Plus, there are a couple backup coins in Overhill and Underhill, which you'll see. But we're going to go ahead and just leave the level and go on to the next stage, which is Roast Mutton. This loading screen is about 18 seconds for anyone who likes keeping track of loading screen lengths. This level has a pretty cool route, but it's fairly difficult to pull off sometimes. What we're going to do first is we're going to head straight forward to Thorin. We're going to trigger his text. Now we're going to do the gap skip. But instead of heading over to the left like the game wants us to go, we're actually going to head up here to the right. There are some steps up here. And when I say over to the right, you want to make sure that you take the steps that are like right next to you that kind of go back behind you. You want to make sure you're not like running past those and going this way toward those plants, but going up these steps instead. The reason is there are some plants up here that this dwarf over here on the stump really needs. So we went ahead and gave him his Burberry plants, and now we're going to go ahead and do this gap skip again, and now we're going to head over where the game wants us to go, just across here. We're going to climb up these steps, head kind of over to the left. I like to kill that plant as I do it, it just looks cool. We're going to hit this lever, real easy stuff. And you're going to want to grab these coins over here as well. There's 50 of them in that chest. What we're going to do now is we're going to be boosting up this wall. It's not a hard boost to pull off, however, if you have the wrong angle, you can get something like that where you just kind of boost straight up. You don't want to be facing straight up toward the center like I just was. You want to kind of be facing a little bit more to the right, just like this. And you just want to do a jump and jump attack against the rock like that. If you get it timed well, you should end up against the rock, or on top of the rock. What you want to do next is you just want to kind of head along the wall. Just follow the wall over until you get a little past this tree. The best way to explain this is there's a load trigger right in front of me that loads this whirlpool way out here. If you just round the corner up here, you should see the game, like, freeze for just a fraction of a second. That's the sign that you loaded the area like you wanted to. So in this case, we do want to load the area. I don't know if you guys could see that brief screen freeze, but, If you can see it, that's good. That means that you loaded the area properly. Once you do that, you just want to long jump and jump attack down to this ladder. It doesn't matter too much if you get long jump glitch because the next part is pretty psycho-based anyway. You're then going to hit this lever, and we're going to head over here. I'm going to grab a couple coins right here. They're not super important coins, but you do want to grab them. And now we should be at 100 coins. Now this next trick is a fairly difficult trick to pull off. You want to wait until the water rises up all the way, just like it just did. Now, if you can see this rock over here, there's a load trigger right over here. It's really conveniently placed so that if you take the normal route, or even if you're a bit too far to the right, you'll still cross through it like you need to. However, our goal is to not cross through that load trigger, so I'm going to aim for about this angle, toward the very edge of this rock where you won't slip off. So you don't want to be like this far over, but you want to be like this far over, like a little bit to the right of the plants, and you just want to do a long jump and jump attack. Now, if you see the screen freeze a little bit, that means that you hit the load trigger. If you do hit the load trigger, which I did not hit the load trigger, but if you do end up hitting the load trigger, this trick is real easy to retry. All you have to do in order to retry it is just backtrack to the board and try it again. I got it well that time. I'm pretty consistent at it, but it is hard to pull off. You can tell if you've loaded the area because if you look over here and you can see like this pink area across here, that means that you've done the skip right. Whereas if all you can see is a bunch of... Let me see if I can load the area properly a second, so I can show off what that looks like. If it looks like this, with a bunch of trees over here, that means that you've done it wrong. That means that you've loaded the area, so you want to go ahead and backtrack and retry it. Although, generally, I don't need to use that, because generally the screen freeze tells me enough about whether I've loaded the area or not. But yeah, that time I didn't load it once again. And as you can see, looks just like it needs to. Now, the best way I've found across the whirlpool is just to wait till this big board catches up to you, and then just kind of follow the boards over. Real easy to do. We're going to go ahead and cross this bridge. Now, normally you would think that this next part of the level, the troll camp, would be the hardest part of the level, with dodging the trolls and all that.
Back now.
But it's actually really, really easy in this category because the load trigger we avoided was the load trigger for the trolls. So, like, this camp is still kind of loaded, but not really. You can probably tell by the walls just phasing in and out constantly. There's also a really hilarious to watch cutscene, but in runs I never watch it, obviously, because it takes a while. Anyway, the best way to get to the wallet, because that's the goal of this whole thing, is to get to the wallet.
One was bad enough.
Oh, well, I guess some wolf sauce. The best way to get to the wallet is you want to just long jump out here, and you don't want to do it too far to the left, like right here, because there's an invisible wall that blocks you off from doing it there. You want to actually long jump more just straight out to the right, and then turn sharp to the left. Make sure you kind of, like, just run around the edge of the plants, and once you get to the edge, you should just hit the trigger for the wallet. Again, the cutscene is really weird, it's really glitched. We're not going to be buying anything at the end of this stage either, because we don't need to. So let's go ahead and head into Trollhole. We're also not going to be buying anything at the end of Trollhole. We're actually not going to buy anything until the end of Overhill and Underhill. And that's because of just when it's optimal to buy things. Anyway, Trollhole is a pretty easy level in terms of the routing. It's pretty straightforward. There aren't really many major skips in this level. The first thing I want to note, there's a training scroll right here. I wouldn't recommend grabbing it. It's a stick training scroll for a attack power-up, but all of the fighting we're going to do in this category is either done with the sword or done with the stick at a later point where we already have a better upgrade for the stick. So I would not recommend grabbing the training scroll. I would recommend avoiding it. It's just a minimal time save, but it's still there. We want to just head up into the next cave. It's pretty easy. We can just climb up all these ledges. This set of spikes right here, you can actually just slash jump right through it. Do not try to long jump through it, because if you long jump and you take damage, you'll get a little bit of a damage recoil animation, which will slow you down. But for some reason, if you slash jump and you take damage, you won't get that same recoil animation. No idea why it works like that, but it's a slight time save, so. Up here, we can skip some puzzles in this room by just jumping on the rock and jumping up to grab the ledge. Same thing in this next room, we can jump on a rock and jump on a mushroom and then jump to the ledge. Just from this rock right up to this ledge, just like that. Avoid these spikes in this next room. Now we come to this elf, Liana, who wants us to help her to get a healing potion. The healing potion is up here on one of these ledges. You can just kind of jump and grab this ledge to get it, and then climb up here. Just grab the potion and head back down to the elf. We're gonna go ahead and give it to her. Just like this. There we go. You want to grab these mushrooms on your way up, and you want to do your best to avoid enemies, just because you don't want to take too much damage at any point. We're going to go ahead and put the crystal in the pedestal and ride this lift across. And if you're wondering where I got the crystal, the elf that I just helped gave it to me. Don't worry, we'll run into her again later in the game. I promise. But we're just going to kind of avoid these puzzles and climb our way up the tunnel. Real easy to do. We're going to head outside now, and we're going to climb up this little vine ladder to the left here. And once we're up here, you can see there's kind of... We're clearly supposed to enter this tunnel. However, this ledge up here, this... I can't see it very well from that angle. This ledge up here is perfectly grabbable. All you have to do is just jump on this rock and jump up to grab it. It can take a few tries sometimes, and if you're standing in the wrong area, Bilbo just won't have his full jump height. Like right there, he didn't have his full jump height. But if you're standing on the right area and you just jump up, you should just be able to grab the ledge. Real easy, like. And there's 50 more coins right here that you want to grab. So you should be at 150 going out of this level. This next part is real easy. We're just going to grab this rope and then turn around and jump back off the rope. We're going to wait for the rope to lower. And then we're going to re-grab the rope. And we're going to climb almost all the way up the rope, and then we're just going to do a jump and jump attack off to get to the other side here. Now the easiest way to do this is just to jump on the pods and grab the key, just like that.
The key.
And then long jump back over to the rope. And now we're just going to head over to the end of the level. One thing to note is the guys can actually break the pods on you. If they do, there is a backup strat for it, but it's not worth it in my opinion. I usually just reset if that happens, because it's significantly slower. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to head back outside, and we're going to just long jump across here and head up to here. And we're going to put the key in the keyhole, and that's going to be the end of the level for us. And like I said, we're not going to be buying anything in this level either, so I'm just going to go ahead and exit. Now we're on to Overhill and Underhill. Overhill and Underhill is actually, it's fairly straightforward. That was the sound of my phone. Sorry about that. There's a few extra things that we need to remember to do in Overhill and Underhill. One of them is actually right at the beginning of the level. We need to remember to talk to Bofur. So what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of head back and talk to Bofur. Again, you want to make sure that the little book appears on the right side of your screen, because if it doesn't, then you haven't talked to the right dwarf. But once we've talked to him, we're just going to kind of head down and take the normal path for a while. We're going to go ahead and grab that training scroll, because the sword training scroll is actually useful.
There's no going back.
So I'm just going to kind of navigate my way through the rest of the level,
How will I ever get back to the dwarves?
explaining a little bit about what I'm doing, but mostly explaining the coin route, because I'm going to be grabbing a lot of coins in this level. Again, because of the keys that we need to buy. We're going to buy 3 keys at the end of this level, and then 3 keys at the end of either Flies and Spiders or Barrows Out of Bond. These wolves can be really annoying. Basically, I'm just navigating through this area and trying to not get hit by the boulders. Where you can actually avoid a trigger here by walking around here. We can avoid a text box trigger that causes rocks to stop falling, so that we can get a rock to hit this pillar just a little bit faster. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about, let me see if I can actually hit the trigger. It's this trigger right here.
Looks weak. Perhaps I can trick those stone giants into making
As
a
you can
break
see,
for
that
me.
text box trigger causes rocks to stop falling. The first coins we're going to grab for this coin route are right here. We're just going to break this pod right before we climb up the rope. The next coins we're going to grab are on this little chest right here, on top of that ledge. And we're just going to continue on now. We're not going to be grabbing any more coins until we get inside, so none of those in those pods or anything. We're fine without those. And we're just going to head down into this tunnel. Once we're inside, there are a bunch more coins we're going to be grabbing. We're going to head it straight into this tunnel, and our goal now is to fix a machine while also grabbing some coins. So I'm going to go grab this gear first, obviously. Climb up this rope and head over to the left first, because there's a gear that we need to grab to the left. And then immediately backtracking, just like this. Heading across this way. There's a couple ropes here that can be annoying to cross. If you just want to grab that gear, head over to this rope. And we're going to head into the next room. Grab this gear, do a long jump across here. And head up this way. And we are going to grab these coins right before we grab this gear. But now we're going to head outside. We're going to grab just a couple more coins before we do that. And then we're going to put all of these gears into this machine, just like that. Now we're going to head outside, where we need to be.
Oh, I don't like the look of this.
There are two more machines that we need to fix that are just like that. But we're going to be grabbing a bunch of coins while we do that. So that's going to be the main challenge, is just remembering which coins to grab. There's a nice little skip you can do there with just a long jump and a jump attack. And I am going to go ahead and make a safety save, because this area can actually be just a bit tricky. So you want to grab this gear right here, just like that. All of the coins I'm grabbing in this area are completely free. You want to grab that chest, long jump and jump attack over here, and grab this chest. Grab this gear, and then do a long jump and or not jump attack, but just a long jump. There's a chest right here that you can grab if you're short on coins. I'm not short on coins right now. I'm actually doing great on coins. But what we're going to do in the next area is we're going to grab that gear. Then we're going to head back this way and grab this gear. We're just going to kind of take the path to grab all the gears. It's not hard to do. There's a couple more coins we're going to be grabbing. And again, you can vary the coin route as you please. I just really like my coin route because it gets me the exact number of coins I need. But I've got all the gears now. So I just need to put them in the machine. There's a little skip you can do here where instead of running through that tunnel, you can just do a long jump and jump attack this way. Just like that. You don't even have to use the jump attack, actually. You can just do a long jump. But we're going to put the key in the keyhole. There's a couple more coins that we can grab on our way outside. And now we're just going to head out. There is one more thing we have to do, and that one more thing is to talk to Bofur again. So we're going to be doing a skip that's similar to a skip we do in any percent. We're going to be doing a slope boost up a wall. And at the tip of that slope boost, we're going to be talking to a dwarf. Thorin, specifically. So I'm just going to do a boost up against this wall and talk to Thorin at the top. But then you want to head this way and talk to this dwarf over here. If you get all of the courage points, that's how you know that you talked to the right person. If you don't, you didn't talk to the right person. But there's not really anyone else you can talk to, because you can't interact with Gandalf unless you've done the fight. But anyway, once you talk to him, you just want to head back over and down the tunnel. And again, we're going to be grabbing 3 coins. Or I mean 3 keys from here. We only need 3 of them. We'll be grabbing a couple extra coins in Riddles in the Dark so that we can get another key at some point. We're actually going to, like I said, we're going to be buying 3 more keys after Flies and Spiders, or after Bales Out of Bond, whichever you prefer. I generally buy them after Flies and Spiders because I forget if I don't do that. Now, the first thing we're going to do in this level, we're just going to head down this tunnel. You can use the sword sparingly, use the sword as you wish to make yourself able to see better because it is dark in here. The game advises you to use the sword, but I'm using the stick for most of it. You do want to equip your sword here because what we're going to be doing next is we're going to be just sliding down this wall over to the right and then cutting a bunch of webs. You have to use your sword to cut those webs, so we're just going to kind of head through this whole area. And coming up is where we're going to be doing our first skip of the level. This level kind of has a bit of a roundabout route in terms of the order we're going to be doing things in. We're actually going to be fixing the last lift that we would normally have to fix first. So what we're going to do is we're going to trigger that dwarf's cutscene, and then we're going to head down here. And we're going to be doing a ledge clip into this wall. The easiest way to set it up is just doing a long jump like that to grab the ledge, and then just kind of clipping like this, turning the camera, climbing up, tapping the way that you want to be facing that way, and then just jumping over here. You should be out of bounds now. And if I didn't explain that clearly enough, I'll try to explain that again. You just clip into the ledge, pop up, and you don't want to, like, you don't want to hold the joystick up when you do that pop up. You just want to briefly tap it to make sure that you don't move forward in the ledge at all. And then you just want to go into first person. Turn yourself so you're facing about here and just do a jump over here. Once you're on this ledge, the goal next is to long jump and jump attack over to this ledge over here. The easiest way I've found to do that is to face this way and just to long jump and jump attack to the right. You don't want to fly off like I almost did. But we're going to grab this lever and then just drop down in this direction. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do some kind of neat gymnastics to get down here to the ground. We're going to head over here and we're going to trigger this lift, or lever. We have to do that to extend this bridge over here because it's a quest. But now that we've done that, we're actually going to head over here to the last lift. And we're going to go ahead and put the lever in it. And this is where I'm going to be grabbing a few extra coins, because normally the game wants you to climb up this ladder to get up to those lifts, but I like to climb up this little ledge over here instead, because that way I can break that box and grab 10 coins. And now we are at 80 coins. So that is exactly where we want to be, actually. We're going to climb up this chain, and you're going to want to jump over to this little corner and just go into first person to throw a stone at that barrel. If you hit the barrel with your stick or your sword, or if you're too close to the barrel, you'll die. Now what we're going to be doing is we're just going to be doing a few tricks over here. Or we're going to be fixing a few lifts, I mean. I keep using the wrong words. I'm doing really great at this so far. We're going to ride this lift all the way up. And we're actually going to be doing a pretty big skip over here that relies on not getting long jump glitch. I'm going to kill this goblin just so it doesn't make it too hard to explain. But you do not have to kill the goblin in order to pull this trick off. I'm just doing it so it's easier to do without the goblin killing me. However, there is a safety save right here. So whether you kill the goblin or not, you can save before going for this trick. Basically, if you look down here, you can see that there's a ledge way over here with a little box on it. We can actually long jump and jump attack to that ledge, just like this. And what I'm doing now is, now that I've done that long jump and jump attack, I'm actually continuing to jump because I'm holding my clipboard back where I was a minute ago. So I'm just making sure that I'm continuing to jump. I grab that chest, and I'm going to head over here. There are a few places that you can clip warp over here. The easiest one I found is right behind here. It's still pretty tricky to get into, but the best way I've found to do it is to just drop off there and press B twice. If you do that, you can get a pretty consistent warp, and I don't know why that works, but if you're like clipped into that little piece that's sticking out, you can just press B twice to kind of just jump attack into it. And if you do that, you should get warped right back up, assuming you still held your clip warp. Anyway, now that we've done that, we've got the wart stone, so we're not going to have to do the quest later to go out of our way to get the wart stone. However, what I didn't do earlier was I didn't get the key. So whether you grab the key before you warp or whether you grab it after you warp, you do want to make sure to grab the key. And if the goblin's still there, you want to avoid him to the best of your ability. Put the key into the lift, and we're going to be riding the lift all the way across. Now, you should be down quite a bit on health here because of that long jump and jump attack. It does quite a bit of damage. I actually would not recommend, I wouldn't recommend taking a health potion here, even if you're a little bit afraid of the goblins. The goblins are actually pretty easy to avoid. You want to attempt to save your potions for flies and spiders, because there's a lot that goes on in flies and spiders. You'll see when we get to it. But once we're across this lift, we're just going to kind of continue on this way. If you're a little bit afraid about this room, I can understand taking a potion. However, the goblins in here really aren't bad at all, other than sometimes surprise attacking you like that. So now what we're going to do is, now that we got that key, we're going to head over here and we're going to put this key into this machine. And I'm going to be saving just so I can explain something very briefly. There's this kind of glitched off area. Basically, our goal is we already lowered half of this bridge over here by just throwing a rock at a barrel earlier. I don't know if you remember us doing that earlier. It was the barrel that I said if you were too close to it, it would kill you. The other half of the bridge we also have to lower, and the barrel for that is right over here. However, the death triggers in this level are really, really weird. If you do a long jump toward the barrel like that, or even at an angle even remotely close to right, you will hit a death trigger that for some reason is located right there, right above the floor. So you don't want to long jump at that angle. You actually want to long jump at about this angle, so that you're moving toward the wall, because then you'll be able to avoid the death trigger. And once you've done that, you can just pick up the barrel and move it. Once you do that, all you have to do is just run back across this bridge. And you should recognize this area, because this is where we were before. We're simply going to head to the Goblin Guard. He wants us to bring him the Wartstone. We're going to bring that to him. And then we're going to run past him so that he doesn't attack us. Because then he tries to fight you, but we don't got time for that. We have other quests to do. And fighting him is not a quest, so it's not on our agenda. We're going to climb this chain up here, and we're going to be going up here and saving Balfour. Now, there is a save pedestal right here. I wouldn't actually recommend using it, because if you do die in this area, it actually messes up the goblin cycles quite a bit. So I'll go ahead and explain just how I go about this. You want to long jump into that trigger, and you want to wait until this goblin gets to that middle box. And then you just want to kind of head through here, straight through the middle of the room, to where Balfour is. You want to talk to him and immediately skip his cutscene, and then go hide behind these boxes. And as soon as this goblin gets past these boxes, you can just head straight for the lever. And go ahead and hit that lever. And voila, you saved Balfour. Now, I did mention the cycles get a bit weird if you die, and what I mean by that is if you die and reload the save, then the goblins they'll move in different directions, and they'll start and stop at different times. It's just weird. It's hard to figure out their patterns. And if you're good, you shouldn't die in that area anyway. So anyway, yeah, now that we've saved Balfour, we're just going to climb up all these ledges, and we're going to ride the minecart over to the end of the level. Now, if you did happen to use your health potion in this stage, that is fine, because there is a free health potion at the very end of this stage, which I'll show off here in just a sec. It's not hard to find at all. I just gotta make sure that I'm actually hitting all the levers, or switches, whatever you call them. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna head into the cave, and this is where you can find your free health potion, is right before the ring. If you're not getting the health potion, you can just take the normal route of kind of going up against this wall and doing a long jump right here to get up, and then head straight for the ring. If you are getting the health potion, you want to go around this way and grab the health potion here and then climb up the steps just like this. Either way you do it, you should get the ring. and finish off the level. And like I said, we're going to be buying, I wasn't supposed to buy any keys, actually. We buy 3 keys after Flies and Spiders, but now because I decided to buy one there, I'm only going to be buying 2 of them at the end of Flies and Spiders, which is fine, actually. But normally you would be leaving Riddles in the Dark with 80 coins total. I'm going to be leaving with 0 coins total and an extra key. Either way you want to do it. You can opt to buy that key now if you would like. I just usually don't because it's marginally slower. But that's the whole of Riddles in the Dark. Overall, not an awful level, but the one trick does rely a bit too much on not getting long jump glitch, so it makes it a bit more annoying to pull off. Obviously. Now, Flies and Spiders is a very interesting level. There's a very hard trick to pull off at the end of the level. It's actually not that hard to pull off overall. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to boost up this wall behind us. Now, I should mention that if you are on any platform other than Gamecube, that boost is not possible. There are other routes you can use, but for the sake of this being a Gamecube guide, I'm not going to show those off. I'm gonna go ahead and go around here to the left. This is where you want to go if you do that boost. And we're going to be heading down here. And up onto this rock. There's a couple ways to get onto this rock. You can either do a slash jump like that, or you can, from a little bit farther back, do a long jump. And that should also get you on the rock sometimes. The rock is really annoying. I actually hate this rock. I usually just use the slash jump to get onto it. Either way, once you get onto the rock, you don't want to long jump too far to the left. You actually want to go more to the right onto this next rock. You want to make sure to stay out of bounds so that you're not loading the next area. There is a good reason why we don't want the next area loaded. And I'll be explaining that at a later point. But,
Oh my.
basically, you're just wanting to head through the Thorin camp without it being loaded. Once you get to this area, you're going to have to run through these plants, which is really easy to do. You're going to have to cross this poison puzzle thingy, which isn't hard to solve at all. I'll show off the way I usually go about solving it. The way I usually solve this is I jump onto this, and I long jump from this to this. Now, if you do land down here, you can just jump up and grab this from that poison. But, if that one lowers, you can always just jump back onto this one to re-raise it. Not hard to do at all. I'm going to go ahead and make a safety save here. Because there's a bit that I feel needs to be explained here. We're going to be doing this skip first. This gap skip right here.
These spiders ruin
And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put on our ring, and we're going to open this chest using one of our keys.
should help burn those thick webs.
And then we're going to just long jump up that wall at about that angle. It can be a bit tricky to pull off, but overall it's not that bad. Now, if you've ever run any percent, you'll probably know that there's usually a giant wall here directly to my left, or directly in front of me, I guess, that blocks me from just, say, for example, long jumping and jump attacking into this cave over here. But because I kept the Thorin camp unloaded, for some reason that keeps this area from loading properly, so you can just long jump and jump attack into this cave. Now, we're going to be opening this chest, and we're also going to be grabbing this ring. The chest is not actually necessary for any quests, however, it does contain 160 coins plus a couple of potions, so not only does it make our coin route quite a bit faster, but it also gives us some potions that we might be able to use. Now, it's important to note, you're probably going to want to grab the chest first and then the ring. It is just barely slower, but if you grab the ring and then if you interact with a chest on the exact same frame that a dialogue box triggers, then it can crash the game. I don't know why, but it will crash the game. So in order to avoid that, you want to grab the chest first,
Someone must have lost this.
and then the ring.
I'd better keep it safe.
And once you've done that, we want to just head out of the cave. Getting out of the cave is fairly easy. However, let's say that you accidentally fall down into the cave. If that does happen, all you have to do is roll this block a couple times to be able to climb back up here. And from there, just try to climb up again. Normally there's a big boss in this room, but because we didn't enter the right way and cross the trigger, we never loaded it. Anyway, we're gonna head out of the cave now. And we're gonna head through all of these webs and back to Corwin's camp. And now you get to see what Corwin's camp looks like when it's loaded properly. We're gonna go talk to Corwin first to give him the ring that we just picked up. And he gives us a whole bunch of courage points and hopefully some extra health. Now, once we trigger that fire, there are actually a couple different routes that you can use. The easiest route is, and I'll go ahead and make a save just so I can explain the two primary routes that you can use. Once you've done that with the fire, you want to head back into the tunnel, this tunnel right here. Basically, we did all that to melt a web that we aren't even going to end up going through because the game wants us to go that way, but we can actually just backtrack this way again. And the two routes that you can use here are you can either use the same route that you used before by going this way and just through this area and jump over the pit again. The disadvantage this has is that you have to, like, jump over the pit without the floor being there, and then you have to navigate through these spiders again. So that's a bit disadvantage. Let me attempt to kill myself here real quick. I lost, like, no health. Trying to kill myself so I can show this off better. Whatever, killing myself won't actually be that hard, because I know a couple places that do some nice damage. That actually does do some damage. There we go. The other route you can opt to take is a slightly easier route. However, I should mention you can't take this route the first time going through there when Corwin's camp is unloaded. For some reason, taking the easier route when Corwin's camp is unloaded causes a lot of things to just break and not work correctly. But this is the route you can opt to take the second time if that other route is a bit too difficult for you. You can sneak around this little invisible wall and just kind of climb up this wall and navigate your way around. This is another thing that if you're on a platform other than Gamecube, that may not work. We do have confirmation that it doesn't work on PS2. I don't know about any other platforms. Anyway, this wall out here is what I was talking about earlier with preventing you from getting into that cave. That's why normally you can't just long jump and jump attack into the cave, because this thing is here. But again, with Corwin's camp unloaded, that isn't present. Anyway, either way you take back to here, whether you long jumped back up the wall, or whether you went around like I just did, the next part's going to be identical. We're going to go over here and we're going to walk along this tunnel until that area over there unloads. It should be fairly easy to tell when it unloads. Or when it loads, I mean. Over there, you can kind of see everything over there is like a big, just voidal mess. And you can see when it snaps in and when it's not anymore. Once it does that, you kind of just want to follow this over here. Stay on the right of this big wall. And we're going to be skipping a pretty big boss fight right here by just kind of crossing this gate, heading over to here, and sneaking into this corner. You might have to sneak around in this corner a bit. I'm still not exactly sure where the load trigger for that area is. But you just want to hit the load trigger for this area. You can see it load when it loads. And once it loads, you just want to head down into this area. The next thing we're going to be doing is climbing this big tree, which can be annoying, so I'm going to be saving. I'm also going to be saving after I climb up the tree and slide down the bottom. Because we're going to be doing another trick with clip warping, but it's going to be a pretty long-winded trick. You'll see what I mean when I get to it. There's nothing really that we have to grab on our way up. So don't worry too much about that. But we're just going to climb up this rope. Up and up and up. And then we're going to slide down this tunnel over here. All the way down. And I'm going to be saving at the bottom. Right here. And I know it probably feels like I just saved, but there is a good reason for saving here, I promise. what we're going to be doing is we're going to be boosting up this wall right here to try to get into this little pocket right here. This can be a very difficult boost to pull off. I could get it first try, or I could get it 31st try. That time, I almost got it. Not quite far enough to where I wanted to be. Wow, that was fun. If you mess it up, pretty much all you can do is just wait for your jump attack to refill and try it again. There we go. Nope, just kidding. There isn't really a good backup for it. I should mention, since I'm still down here, if you don't have a whole lot of health, you're going to want to grab these mushrooms or take a health potion or something, because you're going to want to have as much health as you can get for the next trick. Like I said, this boost can be very annoying. I'll go ahead and explain the next trick because I know it's probably going to take a while to explain. What we're going to be doing is once we get up here, we're going to be navigating our way to one of the beta end triggers for the level. We're going to be setting our clip warp above that end trigger, and then we're going to be entering the spider cave and saving the dwarves. Now, normally what happens once you save the dwarves is the only way to get out of the cave is by fighting these 3 giant spider bosses, and I'm not even kidding when I say it takes like 10 minutes just to fight them. It is a very, very, very long fight. However, if we set our clip warp above the end trigger, we can actually just warp out of the cave after saving all of the dwarves and fall into the end trigger. So you'll see that once I get up there. This boost. And there's no other way to do this either. This is just what it is. Wow, that was a bad angle. That was also a bad angle. That was also a bad angle. But at least I got a boost that time. There we go. Okay. So, if you get boosted up there, you should land right here. Sometimes you'll get boosted beyond it and lose a little bit of health like I just did. That's not usually a good thing. If you land right here, what you want to do is you kind of just want to jump over and land here. If you land here, that's your best option. You just want to head up. Between these 2 walls, you should see 1 wall on each side of you. Like it is with me right now. We're just going to kind of navigate our way along here. Up this kind of weird thing right here. And you're going to be setting your clip warp right about here. You don't want to set it right here, like on the corner. You want to set it like right here, more a little bit off to the side. I'm going to go ahead and take a health potion because I don't trust myself. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to jump once to make sure that I'm not like actively setting my clip warp as I run off the corner, because that way I won't have been on the ground for a full second when I run off. So I'm going to jump, I'm going to land, and then I'm going to immediately run off the edge and do a jump attack, just like that. Real easy to pull off. Now what you want to do once you've done that is you want to backtrack just a little bit, cut the web, and kind of just slowly jump your way toward here. And the reason you want to do slow jumps instead of like just ridiculously fast jumps is because there's a cutscene trigger like right in front of me right now that if I hit it and I don't skip the cutscene in time, I'll lose my clip warp. Everything that we're going to be doing in the next room is going to have to be done while holding our clip warp. And you also don't want to use your ring much at all, because we're going to be needing to save our ring power for as long as we can. I didn't explain it very well, but when you come in, you want to climb up this thing that's the farthest to your right. You're going to be riding this web strand across here. I'm going to go ahead and take my health potion. We're going to be saving this dwarf. And once we've done that, we're going to be doing a long jump and a jump attack across here. Riding this web strand across and saving this next dwarf. Once we do that, we can actually just long jump straight over to the wall and slide down the wall to get back down. I like to put on my ring right here, just to make sure my health loss isn't absolutely ridiculous. And then you're going to want to climb up this middle area. The middle area, no matter what order you do the other two, and you want to do the middle one last because it's the only one that you can actually warp from. But we're going to save that dwarf, or those dwarves, I guess. And what we're going to do now is we're going to drop off on this side of this. And we're going to be putting on our ring and then jumping and grabbing this ledge. We're kind of just going to slowly clip our way into this ledge. I like to hold down and right on my joystick and just kind of continue adjusting the camera so that I don't accidentally stop moving or stop clipping. These spiders are awful. There we go. What we're going to do now is, once we're over here, there's a couple ways to set this up. The way I generally prefer setting it up is I climb up, I run just barely to the right, and then do a jump. That way I haven't lost my clipboard from being on the ground for too long, but I'm also not accidentally clipping back out, because you can accidentally clip back out and lose a lot of time there. And actually, if you clip back out in the right way, you'll actually get stuck and soft-locked. What you want to do is you want to be facing this way. You want to do a long jump out of bounds facing this direction. Not a regular jump and not just walking off the edge, but specifically a long jump. And you want to immediately start holding left on your joystick. If you do that, you should get warped back to here and fall and hit the end trigger. So that ends up working out really well. And again, at the end of this level, we're going to buy 3 keys, except I only have to buy 2 because I bought 1 in Riddles in the Dark by accident. But yeah, that's really all there is to Flies and Spiders. Now we're coming up to Barrows Out of Bond, or rather we're going into Barrows Out of Bond. Barrows Out of Bond is pretty straightforward. It's fairly similar to any percent throughout most of it, but there are going to be a few differences here and there. And especially at the very end of the route, it's going to be it's going to be a completely different route at the very end, obviously because all quests. So we're going to start out the level exactly the same. We're going to head over to the left. If you long jump right here, you can make it to this gate area and just kind of hop over, just like that. Then you just want to kind of head over this way, do a couple jumps over to here, grab that deep cellar key, and head into the Elves' Palace.
Wasn't the necromancer?
Once inside here, we do have to grab all 3 of the Elvish opening crystals. We can't skip any of them like we can in any percent. So I'm going to go ahead and grab those. One of them is over here. That was fun. One of them is right here in front of these elves. And one of them is over here across these 2 ropes. Now, also across these ropes is this little leaf way out here. This is one of the 3 herbs that we're going to need to collect eventually, so because it's faster, we might as well collect it now. Now, this ledge over here, I should mention, is not grabbable. You cannot grab onto this, so I wouldn't recommend trying to do that from the rope. But now we're just going to put all 3 of the Elvish opening crystals into the pedestals. Good thing to notice that the Elvish opening crystals are on top of the items list, so you don't have to move up or down to put them in. That's something you specifically want to know in both this level and the next level. But we're just going to go ahead and pull these blocks into place. Just like we're supposed to. I think I accidentally switched to my rocks, because my weapons say rocks, but I still have my stick equipped, so whatever. There we go. Anyway, what we're going to do now that we've solved the block puzzle and the gate is open, we're going to head down this tunnel into the next room. And this next, minute or so is going to be exactly the same as any percent. The goal is going to be talk to the dwarves, then go to the water room to find the elf, then go back to the dwarves. Exactly the same as any percent. I'll just show that off here real quick. Now, you're going to want to take note of that little gate that I passed on my left, because you're going to want to know where that is later, for a trick that happens later on in this level. Anyway, we're going to head to the water room now. Oh my goodness, these elves are in terrible places. This is fine, actually.
That vile sorcerer has plagued this land long.
Anyway, once we've done that, we're going to be going outside. We're going to be heading into the spider cave that we would head into in any percent. And in any percent, we only have to grab the deep cellar key from the cave. But in all quests, we also have to grab an herb. And we have to grab an herb right outside of the cave, which, if you run any percent, you've probably grabbed it and not even realized that you've grabbed it. So you'll see where it is. It's like, it's just this little tiny red thing, and it's right on the path, so it's not hard to notice at all. Wow, I'm gonna have to do a backup strat at some point. That was fun. You actually want to grab that rope, but I did not grab that rope. Actually, I'm gonna try to back up for it right now, because it's awful. That's not gonna work. I think it's right here. That wasn't it.
Who's there? I suppose it was nothing.
There we go. But yeah, you want to grab that rope when you come out to make sure it lowers, because if it doesn't lower, as you can see, it can be really annoying to grab. But you want to grab this herb right here. And then grab the deep cellar key and just head into the spider cave. You're going to want to put on your ring going into the cave, and then use the web potion on the web. The web potion is the last item in the items list, because the items list is arranged alphabetically. And then we're just going to want to head right out of the spider cave immediately after. That part can be hard because of all of the millions of spiders running around in there. So just be careful to avoid them and you should be fine. Now we're just going to head down this tunnel and back into the cave. We're going to be putting the elf to sleep, so we're going to be heading back into the water room and putting all of the herbs into his barrel, or into his cup, I guess. You do want to put on your ring for right here, because the elf can catch you. He can't catch me now, though, because he's out of it. He's way asleep now. I'm going to be saving at this pedestal, because there's a fairly hard trick that I'm going to be explaining here. It's not terrible, but it's just a little bit annoying and difficult. Basically, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be heading back up this tunnel. And I'm going to be setting my clip warp right in front of that little gate that I talked about earlier. So I'm going to be setting it right here. And now that it's set, I'm going to climb back up and I'm going to go talk to the dwarves.
Was that the wind?
You can talk to Liana instead. It's a little bit faster. But there's one more cutscene that plays right after this loading screen, so... And I don't actually like jumping down into this tunnel. This is going to be a similar case of what I did with Flies and Spiders, where I land and then walk off an edge instead of actually jumping off. I still do want to be holding my clip warp, obviously, so that's why I'm jumping. But if you jump down there, then you're liable to take damage, and also you're liable to slide back up the tunnel for some reason. I don't exactly know why it happens, but you just want to land and then walk off and slide down the tunnel. I'm not too worried about my health here, because there are some mushrooms right in the path I'm going to need to take next. We're going to be doing a clip warp, because obviously we're holding our warp in front of that little gate. The easiest way I've found to do this warp is to do a jump attack right there, and then just kind of jump into the vine wall and spam the B button. If you do it right, you should get warped to here and just fall and land on top of this invisible floor. There's a couple ways to get down from here. The easiest one I've found is to stand about here and just jump and slide down that wall. And then from here, you can get across to this area. You can do two different things. You can either jump to this and kind of clamber across to over there, or you can put your camera all the way up and risk a long jump and jump attack. which again risks long jump glitch, so I'd be wary with that if I were you. But you want to grab that last deep cellar key and just head up this tunnel. Nice load screen here. What we're going to be doing next is we're going to be saving Thorin. So we have to put all of these deep cellar keys into this. The easiest way I found to do it is to go to the left, put in the first one, and then just put in the rest clockwise.
Oh, I feel like a pickled fish.
That's a fun thing that I like to do. If you interact with one of the barrels during your walking, or during a text box, and you can still move around during the next text that plays. That won't really come in handy at all, but it's just a neat little thing that I like showing off in all quests because it's there. But anyway, we finished the level just by interacting with this pedestal now. Now you should notice I still have 3 keys. I'm going to need 4 keys, actually, in Warm Welcome, but there's a key that's completely free to pick up and doesn't lose any time. You'll see what I mean by it. We're actually going to be going and picking up that key during the Thief quest, because we have nothing else to do during the Thief quest anyway. So it's not like we're going to be wasting any time. The first thing we're going to do in this level is we're going to go set a clipboard position, and then we're going to hold that clipboard position for a while. So we're going to go over here to the other side of this dock. We're going to set our clipboard just right here. Just like that. And again, just make sure that you're not on the ground for a full second or more, and your clipboard should be fine. But we're going to go talk to this guy with the orange hair, and we have to get his cutscene and then immediately skip it in order to still hold our clip warp. And now we're going to go trigger the Thief quest, again while holding our clip warp. There's a cutscene right here, so you want to be skipping that. And then we're going to be doing at least 10 or 11 jumps right here, kind of facing this wall. Then what you want to do is jump off facing this way, but pulling to the right, and just get stuck in this little wall down here. It's real easy to do. You can do it completely by accident. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to go and grab that key. The key is actually over by where we started the Thief quest. The Thief quest is an auto-scroller, so it's not going to finish for a while anyway. So we have plenty of time to go and get that key. The key is right over here, so it's not hard to grab at all. Now, if you're like me, you can actually re-warp back over instead of walking back over. You can just do another warp, which is what I like to do. But if you're not comfortable with that, you can just run all the way back over here. And now there's not really anything to do over here other than to just wait out the Thief quest. But you do want to head back to this position, no matter how you go about it. There we go. Once that's done, we just have to wait for this cutscene to trigger. And now we're going to head back over to the warehouse. We're going to head right back over to where we were a minute ago, which is this warehouse over here. We're going to be entering the warehouse. Now, one thing you might have noticed, especially in this level, is that you can actually move around during these fade-outs. Like, when you interact with the door, you can move around afterwards. So we're going to be using that to our advantage, because there's a cutscene trigger over here that triggers the rest of the warehouse to trigger and triggers all the quests. But you don't actually need to complete that warehouse. You just need to start it. So we're going to interact with the door like that to trigger a fade out, and then after we do that, we're just gonna enter the warehouse. So I'm gonna go ahead and skip this cutscene, and then skip the next cutscene as well. We're going to be entering the cider house. We're going to be talking to one specific guy and then immediately leaving the cider house. There's a guy up here, so we're going to talk to him and then immediately leave the cider house. And again, you can move around during the door fade-outs. Just kind of some cool little time saves. Now what we're going to do is we're going to head over to Renar. There's a couple different ways to get to Renar. I personally like long jumping and jump attacking from here to hit this boat. However, you can get long jump glitch on that and kill yourself, which is terrible, so if you're not comfortable with that, I'd recommend just using the ropes. But anyway, you want to talk to Renar, get his key from him, and then we're going to be entering this warehouse here in a second, but I am going to save first. This next warehouse we're going to be opening is full of poison gas that can kill you really, really easily. And not only are we going to be dealing with that, but we're also going to have our clip warp set right here. So again, I'm going to be entering. My clip warp is set. I'm just going to be trying to avoid all of this poison gas. The easiest way I found is to run through that left side first, get to about here, and then just do a long jump through here, and you shouldn't take too much poison damage. 2 hearts at most. You can climb up these boxes by jumping onto this little piece and then jumping up here. Another easy way I found to do it is to jump onto this board and then jump from the board up onto this. But anyway, we're going to navigate our way along these boxes till we get to over here. We're going to climb up these boards. And then we're going to go from here, just kind of follow the railing over. Pull that lever and head into this area, skip the cutscene. And again, we're holding our clip warp this whole time, so that can be a bit annoying. The easiest way to get down here is to just kind of face toward this ledge and hop off and grab it, and then press B to drop off. There is a difference between dropping off and jumping off. Dropping off doesn't usually do as much damage, or sometimes doesn't do any damage, and also causes you to continue facing the same direction. So that's what I did there, was I just pressed B to drop off. What we're going to do now is we're going to clip into this ledge and just get stuck in this wall to warp back outside to right here. I actually don't know why my clip warp wasn't set where I thought it was, but there we go. Anyway, we're going to want to head to the cider house now, but we don't actually want to do that right this second, because for some reason that happens. For some reason, a couple seconds after you skip the cutscene, you'll get warped back to in front of Bard, no matter where you're standing. Anyway, now that we've done that, we can head into the cider house. There's a guy waiting for us in the cider house, an elderly old man. This guy, Malik. So we're going to talk to him and then immediately leave the cider house. Now we're going to go to Malik's house, so we're going to go kind of to the left from here. To this door right here. Just interact with it. And we are going to be heading up here, grabbing this chest, and then leaving. And this is the reason why I wanted to have so many keys going into this level, is because there are 3 more of those chests that we have to open. So 4 total. But we're going to go talk to Malik again now. And then we're going to leave the cider house again. And now what we're going to do is we have to go around this way and find all 3 houses that have serpents on them. One of them is right over here. Now, a nice little time save in this level, just like what I was talking about earlier with the door fade-ins, is that you can interact with objects while you are fading out of a room. So you can do those chests just a little bit faster by doing that. However, I should mention, if you're going to do these fade tricks, you do have to stand for an extra second by the doors, just in order to make sure that the fade-ins actually work. Because for some reason, if you interact immediately after, the fade will go a bit faster and you won't be able to pull it off as well. Or sometimes at all. So you want to stand next to the door for a second. Usually I turn the camera to make sure I've located the chest, and then I go for it. You can do that with these first 2 chests, but you can't do it with the 3rd one. You'll see why. It's located way farther away than the others, comparatively. It's located way up here. But yeah, we're just going to leave this house now. And we're going to go back to the cider house. Cider house should be just around here to the left, if you do the houses in that order. The next trick we're going to be doing is a bit tricky. First of all, we have to talk to this guy behind the counter in order to get a bottle. You can actually do that while fading out of this door if you're quick enough. It is a little bit tricky to pull off. And then there's one more bottle down here. And then you want to put these bottles in the order of yellow, blue, red, black, purple, which I did wrong. Yellow, blue, red, black, purple. If you do ever forget the order, you can always just go up and talk to this guy, and he'll give you some really useful hints. I'm just kidding, by the way. If you ever forget, just let me know and I'll tell you. But what we're going to do is, now that we put all the bottles in, this doorway behind us opened up. Normally the game wants us to go down here, because there's normally a bunch of quests that we have to complete down here. However, the quest trigger that we need to hit in order to trigger the quests complete is actually just right here at the bottom of the rope. So all we have to do is kind of hug the left side of this wall until we get to about here. We're going to drop onto the rope. We're going to climb down the rope until the screen freezes for a second and the book page appears on screen on the right side of the screen. And as soon as that screen freeze happens, we're going to climb back up the rope and jump off. So, just like this. Not hard to do. And now we're going to head back outside. And now coming up is the hardest trick in the level. Might take me a couple tries to pull out. I did not mean to go back in the cider house. Let's try that again. But yeah, coming up is the hardest trick in the stage. I'm actually going to save in a different slot for this. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be going out of bounds up here by climbing up these boxes. You can just do a jump and jump attack to get up onto this invisible ceiling. You can't do it from like the front of these boxes, from like this side. You have to kind of like move yourself back until you can do your full jump height, like right here, and then just do a boost up like that. But you're going to want to long jump through this window pane to land on top of this, whatever this is, that's hanging out of bounds. We're going to angle ourselves at about this angle, and we're going to do a long jump and a jump attack straight out into the void, and just kind of spam B and hope to interact with this safe pedestal way out here before we hit the ground and die. Now, you can see I've saved. If I can pause after I've saved, then that means that I've messed up the trick. So as you can see, I messed it up because I'm able to pause, and also my health was already completely low. As you can see, the save itself, the health is completely low. You can't actually continue if you do that. You'll soft lock the game in what is called zombie mode, or zombie Bilbo, whichever you prefer to call it. This trick is the save jump, and it is, as I already said, one of the hardest tricks in the run, and definitely the hardest trick in the level. So I will be trying it again. So yeah, all this, you just head up here. Long jump and jump attack from right here. And just kind of spam B and hope to... I don't know if I got it that time. I think that might have been zombie again. Nope, that was it. As you can see, I can't pause. I'm pressing start and I can't pause. And also, if you looked at my health, it was ticking down right then. Anyway, when you do eventually get it, all you have to do is just head into this next room, skip 2 cutscenes of invisible thieves and goblins talking, and head down here and grab the black arrow. You don't have to worry about the goblins and thieves seeing you because they're not here. What we're going to do now is we're going to head up here, climb up onto this platform, and skip the cutscene. You do need to make sure to do that because I believe it triggers a quest, although I'm not entirely sure. But once you've done that, you just want to kind of head this way along the rail to get back outside.
Get into that warehouse.
Here's a
men.
real nice cutscene that you
You
can
wait
skip
here,
that
Bilbo.
lasts
The
for like
town
5
guard will
years.
finish this. Who would have ever thought someone so small could be so useful? Good work, Baggins.
I found the black arrow.
The line of Gideon has passed this arrow from father to son since it was forged in the Lonely Mountain. I am in your debt. Come visit me outside the
Anyway,
Great
once
Hall
the
when you're ready to
cutscene
leave
is
this
done,
place.
you just have to go hop over here and talk to him. I can't remember what his name. Bard. It's Bard. He's Bard. You don't have to buy anything now, which is a real shame since we have so many coins. You can buy potions if you would like. I wouldn't recommend it. I also wouldn't recommend buying keys because there are no more chests that we have to open. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and leave the vendor and continue on with this. We're almost to the end of the game, only 3 more levels. Unfortunately, the next 2 levels are both excruciatingly long. Specifically, Gathering the Clouds is excruciatingly long. It's the longest level in the run, if you do it optimally. But we're not there yet. We're on Inside Information, and in Inside Information, the first thing we have to do is get the golden cup from Smaug. So we're going to head into Smaug's lair. And we're going to grab the golden cup.
I'd rather not walk on those gold coins. Too much noise.
Just like that. And now we're going to head back out of Smaug's lair. Just like this. And now that we're back out of Smaug's lair, we're going to head back into Smaug's lair. There's a cutscene there that you can skip. I always skip it. You're going to want to use your ring for this part because Smaug can see you and kill you. This part can be a bit tricky because of game lag and because of other factors that contribute to it being tricky.
I smell you, thief.
But we just want to climb up to this big chandelier up here. Just like that. Skip the cutscene, thank you. And now we have to go through this giant running cycle with Smaug, this whole running away gag. So we just have to make sure to hide behind the obstacles when Smaug is breathing fire. And you want to make sure that the fire is completely gone before running, because the game's really touchy about that. I don't understand why, but it's awful. Anyway, there's a cutscene right here that I'm going to go ahead and skip. The next thing we're going to do is, there are 4 dwarves, and each of the 4 dwarves, well, there's more than 4 dwarves in the game, but in this level there are 4 dwarves that want us to get them certain items. We can find those certain items scattered in different parts of the level. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and get those 4 items. I know where they're all located. They're not hard to find. The first item, the way you want to find them is you want to long jump across here. And then just kind of hop your way across here until you get to the side. Then climb up this railing. From here you can just do a long jump to grab the sledge, and then jump up to grab this chain. Climb up the chain until you get part way up here. Then you can jump and get up here. There's a lever over here, so you're going to want to pull that lever. And now what we're going to do is, now that we pulled that lever, we're kind of just going to follow this path backwards for a while. Just staying up on the wall. Until we get to here where there's 2 chains. You can slide down this one, drop off by pressing B, and grab this gem. What you want to do after you have the gem is you want to head this way just a little bit to grab these spears. And then you want to backtrack. If you head this way now, you'll see there's this lever placed over here. So you want to grab that lever, and then continue along this path just a little bit more until you get over to this golden plate. Now that you've got that, there's only one more item you need to grab. That item is located over here. If you would like to, you can actually grab the spears now instead. But I would usually grab them earlier. But the easiest way to get the next item is to just kind of take this little path over to this chain. Hop over these rubble pieces and grab this lever. And from here you can head down and get this last item, which is just right here, this little chain thing. So now all you need to do to give the items to the dwarves is just talk to each dwarf twice. And not Thorin, of course. You don't need to talk to Thorin at all. I'm gonna go ahead and save. This next part of the level is a huge auto-scroller. Basically, all we're gonna do, we're gonna long jump down into this chasm. We're gonna push this block in. We're gonna push each of the next 4 blocks in, and then we're gonna ride an elevator up. Now there is an elevator skip where you can skip riding the elevator. However, for the sake of this being a beginner's all quest guide, I'm not going to be teaching the elevator skip. So all you have to do is just push each block into its position. I have the positions of the blocks memorized, so I don't really need to do a whole lot of staying by them to make sure. All I have to do now is just wait till the elevator catches up. This could take a while. This is the kind of time when I like to practice my circle spins and my Bilbo Tilt. There's this little thing that we call the Bilbo Tilt. Basically, if you run in tight enough circles at a high enough speed, Bilbo will just like slowly tilt into the ground. It's a pretty weird little thing. But you can see it if I'm just running in little circles on here. And these are circle spins. This area looks really cool with the ring on for the first second and a half or something. But you're also not meant to wear the ring here, so some of the textures kind of bug out. Anyway, I'm just waiting for the elevator to get up here. Once the elevator gets up, you just have to run up these steps and trigger the end of the level. And again, you don't have to buy anything because there's nothing else that we need. So there's 2 more levels left. As I already stated, this level, Gathering of the Clouds, is the longest stage in the run. So this is going to take a while to explain. There is some interesting roundabouting going on in this level. The very first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to head backwards to grab this gear belt up here. You can get it by climbing up these rafters over here, or you can just climb up the pillar itself like I just did. But anyway, since you're on this side now, you just want to solve this block puzzle right here, or rather these 2 block puzzles, I guess. There are 4 block puzzles total in this room. Perfect. They're real easy to solve, especially if you just find the side that you're looking for. Sorry, there's not much explaining going on because there's not much explaining to do here. Anyway, once you've got them all solved, these will all trigger. What you want to do once you've done that is you want to head over here to this side, to the gear room. We're not actually going to be going in the gear room yet. We're actually going to be climbing this statue that's right next to it. So you just want to get on his head and then climb onto this pillar. From this pillar, you just do a long jump over to this pillar. And from this pillar, you can do a boost to get up to here. And then you can do just a long jump to get onto this chain. You do all that to grab this chain just a bit early. Anyway, now what we're going to do, we're going to head back down this chain. And now we're going to head into the gear room. Basically, the Restless Level is going to be running from room to room to room in the most optimal manner.
These gears must power the lift system.
We're going to be fixing the gears in the gear room simply by putting the gear belt in. Funny thing here, you can actually interact with that before that text box plays. But anyway, once you've got the gear belt in the machine, like I just did, we're going to be heading out of the gear room and into the water room. So we're going to head out of the gear room and immediately turn left. Just right this way. Into the water room. These steps, specifically the second step, you can kind of long jump up to get a little bit faster. You want to type in the combination that's over on this statue, which is H, up arrow, H, R, whatever that symbol is, and an up arrow, which spells out Erebor. The easiest way I found to do it is to start from this corner, H, up arrow, H. Then there's an R over here, the weird V shape right here, and an up arrow right there.
This must be the room that powers the rest of the kingdom.
What we're going to do now, we're going to climb up this left ladder, and we're going to be solving some water puzzles in here. The puzzles themselves can be pretty annoying to solve, except they aren't actually. Basically, what I like to do is I start with the right side and I just make it run all the way down. Oops. There we go. And then I head over to the left side. Make sure that that just runs once to the left, then once to the right. and then all the rest of the way down. Just like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to catch the next lift cycle that comes by. And I'm going to ride it all the way to the other side of the room and then actually get off. We're not going to ride the lift the rest of the way yet. We will be riding it the rest of the way. But we want to grab this key mold. We need the key mold for later. But we're going to catch this next lift cycle. And we're going to ride it to this side of the room. And we are going to climb off right here and trigger this one. And we're going to do the water puzzles kind of the same that we did with the other side. What I like to do with this one is, again, I like to start with the right. Just to make sure it runs all the way down. And then I do the same thing with the left side. Not hard to do. Then you just want to catch a lift cycle. And this time we're actually going to ride the lift cycle all the way to the next room that we need to be in. And by that I mean the Treasury. We're going to ride it through the gear room into the Treasury. We're going to get off for a quick stop at the Treasury. But then we're going to ride it to the main hall room. I don't remember what it's called. This is a nice place to check out the funkiness of the first-person mode when you're on a lift. Because first-person mode on lifts is very broken. But anyway, we're coming into the Treasury right now. We're going to drop off right about here. Because we want to climb onto this farthest crane away from us and drop off the chain in it. And then just catch the next lift cycle that we can. Again, we just want to make sure that we put the chain in that. Because later on when we come back into the room, we're gonna want to have the chain in that so that we can pull it. So I'm just waiting for the lift to cross all the way across this room.
What a sight!
Perfect. I'm going to be saving right here. What we're going to be doing now is, I don't know if you've noticed it, but there's a cutscene down here, actually. Even if you hit it from way high above, the cutscene will warp you straight down to where it's supposed to warp you. So we can use that to our advantage, and we can prevent dying by just doing a long jump toward the left side and doing a jump attack to get down there without taking damage. Anyway, once you do that, we're going to head into this room now, which is the forge. There we go. I forgot how to do movement for a second. This is nice, though. Anyway, now that we're in the forge, there's a couple things that we need to do. We have both key molds that we need, so we just need to forge both of them. We're actually going to head up here, kind of just long jump up this patch of green or brown or whatever color you call it, to get over to this candle faster. We're going to drop the candle down, and we're going to head back over to the lever, but we're going to drop one of our key molds in here first, so that we can forge it into a key. What we're going to do after that is we're going to grab the key, and then immediately put our other key mold in, just like that. And we're going to forge that one as well. Once you've done that, you want to take the door on your right to get out of the forge. Because the door on the right will get you directly to the throne where you need to be. So we're going to take the door on the right. It shouldn't have any spiders at the moment, because we haven't passed through this hallway yet. There's a glitched out spider that likes to spawn right there. He won't really hurt me, though. Anyway, the throne is right up here. And from the direction we approached it, we should be able to put the keys in order, just like this. And now we just have to grab this key mold and head back to the forge. The forge is, once again, this door right over here that we just took. So we're just going to kind of make our way back now. And you can probably already guess what we're going to be doing with this key mold that we just picked up. Is we're going to put it into the machine. And we're going to forge it into a key. I love how all three of them come out different colors. But anyway, once we've got that one, we're going to head back out of the forge. And this time we're going to take the door on our left again, because that'll get us directly across from the Treasury, which is where we need to be next. There will be spiders in this tunnel this time, because we've already passed through here. So again, use your ring. We're just going to head to the Treasury. The Treasury is the last room that we need to go into in this level. Now, I will mention anyone who's watching this with headphones or anything, or anyone who's planning on running this. I'm not sure exactly what causes it, but the chain sound from this chain is not programmed to stop playing. So once you pull it, that sound is going to continue playing. Anyway, once you've pulled all 4 chains, you just want to put the key into the keyhole, and then head into here and grab the Arkenstone. There it is, perfect. Now we've done all the quests in that level. There's only one more level left to do all of the quests in. And compared to a bunch of levels that came before, this level is actually significantly easy. The very first thing we're going to do, this level has, first of all, the most fighting of any of the levels. Actually, I think this might be the only level where you're actually required to fight things. We have our first fight coming up right away. The first fight is going to be with these goblins who are killing our friends. The easiest way I've found to fight them is to go back behind this first goblin and just make sure that you have your sword out. Then just jump attack him. Surprise attack this goblin and then surprise attack this goblin. If you surprise attack them, they'll die in like 2 or 3 hits. So it makes it quite a bit faster to kill them if you go up behind them and sneak up on them like that. This next area has a ton of lag, so I just recommend trying to keep your camera somewhat above you. You just want to cross through here. There's a health potion you can grab right there. This next area you have to stop a bunch of goblins that are using a catapult. Now for some reason the controls in this area don't work properly. And I swear I'm the only person on the planet who's ever noticed that. But if you attack this goblin, and then stand right next to this thing, you can press B, and sometimes it'll detect your B input, and sometimes it won't. I'm not sure exactly how it works. That time it detected it pretty quickly. But, once you've done that, you just want to continue on this path, making sure not to let the goblins kill you. In the next area, we're going to be saving our good friend Corwin, who we met back in Mirkwood. You know, don't you remember meeting him? This area I would actually recommend fighting them with the stick just because of the jump attack. You should have the powered up jump attack now, at this point. Where's the last one? There he is. Anyway, once you save Corwin, this ladder over here should lower, so you should be able to climb up. There's a cutscene that'll trigger right here, and then you can head through this area. Sometimes I like to use my ring, sometimes I don't. But the goblins in here are pretty awful, plus there's a ton of lag in this room. But anyway, once you get through this room comes. There's 2 cutscenes right there that you can skip. And then I do like to put on my ring when running through here, because sometimes, and by sometimes I mean one time ever, a goblin likes to turn around and shoot you with an arrow that kills you. But we're kind of just gonna continue on our path now. We're gonna run into Gandalf and then immediately skip the cutscene. And now we're gonna head into this room, kind of just avoiding the goblins. The Restless Level is gonna be pretty similar to any percent. I mean, obviously the first part of the level was significantly different because we did a lot more. And any percent, basically, we just skip all of the fighting and head straight to here. This part is going to be basically identical to any percent, in that we're going to do, we're going to be doing the barrel boost, which is essentially, we're going to be standing right here on this wheel and just kind of slash jumping and jump attacking off to hit this barrel. Now we're going to continue along our merry little way. Hopefully not dying. And we're going to go help Balfour out, or not Balfour, Bjorn. Bjorn really wants to cross this bridge over here. Because if there's one thing he's good at, it's fighting goblins. We can actually just stand right here where these two small boards meet up, aim all the way up, and throw a rock at about this angle to hit the barrel on the other side of the bridge, which I missed. Is it right there? No? Where is it? There it was. 3 rocks isn't too bad. Now, in any percent, normally you can go out of bounds about here, but in all quests you cannot, because you do have to actually trigger the quest with Bjorn. So we're going to have to stay in bounds for a bit of extra time here. So we're going to be heading through here. However, there is still a really, really easy skip to pull off. Basically, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be skipping the first 2 barrels by just climbing up here and jumping and grabbing this ledge. We can then interact with this barrel, watch this one play out, and then head straight to the 4th barrel from here. There's some fairly ridiculous chains of events playing out here. This part can be annoying with all the spikes. I'd recommend just slash jumping through, because as I mentioned earlier, slash jumping prevents you from taking the damage recoil animation. But anyway, once you hit that barrel, that is the end of the run. You have now completed all of the quests in the game. So congratulations, you've learned all quests, and in less than 2 hours. I loved that. The goblin just shouting fight. Anyway, yeah, that's all there is to all quests, so I hope you guys enjoyed. Comment below if you have any questions about anything, and I will see you next time.